Hello, Saints 1B! We are so excited to have you here. Excited about the topic we have today. That is all about local and global communication in multicultural setting. That's why we need you to stay present. We have a few slides today. This is not a test. This is not a chismis. But it is a lecture coming from us to speak to your heart. Before we start, let me introduce my group mates. First to present is Christine Fuyunan. Second is Lovely Ilian. Third is Fatima Di Tablan. And fourth is Rincy Di Blas. Enjoy watching, guys! Thank you!
Hello everyone, I am Kristen F. Yunan, BizEd Science 1B. And the first lesson that we are going to tackle in Chapter 3 is about communication across the culture is necessary due to. But before that, I am going to tell you why we need to communicate across the culture. Communicating across the culture is challenging. Each culture has a set of rules that its members take for granted. Few of us are aware of our own culture biases because cultural imprinting is begun at a very early age, right? And while some of our cultures knowledge, rules, beliefs, values explicitly, most of the information is absorbed subconsciously. The challenge for multinational communication has never been greater. Worldwide business organizations have discovered that intercultural communication is a subject of importance, not just because of increased globalization, but also because of their domestic workforce is growing more and more diverse ethnically and culturally. So now, what are the communication across the culture is necessary due to? There are 3 points that we are going to discuss. First is the outsourcing, followed by the offshoring, and the third is the e-commerce. Outsourcing. What is outsourcing? Outsourcing is an agreement in which one company hires another company to be responsible for the existing internal activity. In short, when we talk about outsourcing, it's about hiring a party outside a company to perform services and create goods that traditionally were performed in the house or by the company's own employees and staff. Outsourcing sometimes involves transferring employees and assets from one company to another company. Example of the services that outsource and involves contracting business are manufacturing, facility management, and call center support. And remember, the term outsourcing came from the outside resourcing, or the source of a company came from the external organization. Let's go now on offshoring. What is offshoring? Offshoring is the relocation of business process from one country to another, typically an operational process such as manufacturing or supporting processes such as accounting. Typically, it refers to a company business, although state governments may also employ offshoring. So, in offshoring, we must remember that the company is sending their jobs or obtaining their products and services to be performed in another country or in different international location. An example of offshoring is for the United States-based company to produce their goods in the Philippines or the Philippines vice versa. That is one of the example of offshoring. So, remember that the difference of outsourcing and offshoring is when we say outsourcing is when company negotiates a contract with a third party or an external supplier to perform a specific function. When outsourcing a process or operation, it is vital to find a company or person that specializes in the task at hand. However, when we say offshoring, is when a company sends in-house jobs to be performed in another country. Okay? E-commerce. What is e-commerce? It is an activity of buying or selling of products on online services or over the internet. Electronic commerce draws on technologies such as mobile commerce or electronic funds transfer, supply chain management, internet marketing, online transaction processing, electronic data interchange, inventory management system, and automated data collection system. So, when we say e-commerce, example of it is in our current situation today. We are in the midst of the pandemic and we can't go shopping to buy our necessity, right? So, e-commerce websites such as Lazada and Shopee are example of the mediums that we use to meet our needs. We just click and wait for the products to come to us. I think most of us use this kind of mediums or practices in order to avoid the infection of COVID-19, right? Remember that culture is referred to the customary beliefs, social norms, values, material traits, and behavior, patterns transmitted from generation to generation that distinguish groups of people. Let's go now on global communication. At its root, global communication can be defined just as any communication can. A message is sent from one person or group to another anywhere in the world. When it comes to communicating globally, it is usually in the encoding and decoding that problems occur. As with any communication, ensuring that the message is received as it was intended is the responsibility of the sender. So when we are communicating globally, hindi natin maiwasan nga there was a problem occurs or barriers in communication, right? It was said a while ago that it is usually in encoding and decoding that the problems occur. Yes, because as a sender, you are responsible in encoding the message clearly and precisely in order to understand what you wanted to deliver to the receiver. Like for an example of global communication, one of the most common forms of global communication is an email. A person in one country types a message and clicks the send button. The message is then encoded into packets which are sent across the internet to the recipient. In another country, the receiver logs in and decodes the message by opening the email and retrieves the message. So in this situation, we can describe the communication process, right? First, a person or an organization in one country send message. Then second, the message is encoded. Third, the message traveled through a medium or channel. In the situation, he or she sent message through the internet. Then the receiver in another country decodes the message by opening the email. And lastly, the recipient received the message. As you can see, the process is very easy. But we can't avoid that there's also a complication inherent with global communication. Complication inherent with global communication. Increasing communication from local to global scale has many ramifications beyond cultural pitfalls and language barriers. One example is the increase in emails and other messages people receive every day, many of which are sent from different time zones, often when the recipient is not even awake to read them in timely manner. Many business people now receive up to 200 emails each day, which is too many to read carefully and respond to it in thoughtful manner. The result is that many emails are merely scanned before being deleted or filtered away by the software, never even to read. So because of the excessive message that people send and also receive every day, especially if you are a businessman or you have a business in different part of country or offshoring your business around the world, sometimes you receive a lot of emails from different kinds of negotiators or clients, and apparently you can't read them in one sit at all. So as a result, many emails are filtered away that never even to read. Business people must be diligent in trying to ensure that the most important emails don't get lost in the volume. A legitimate query from the potential new client could get mistaken for spam, and an important question for a business partner could get lost in the series of replies in an unrelated thread of messages. Additionally, when sending an email, business people have no assurances that the message will be received and read by the recipient. Another complication in global communication for business is overcoming the disadvantage you have in competing with local companies. While face-to-face meetings can be replaced with video conference call, subtitles of body language can always be video. Like for example, in our current situation now, we are taking online class, right? We all know that there's a great adjustment that we practice in order to cope up our lesson very well. Like we use Google Meet or Google Classroom that gives personal connection that missing from face-to-face class time. Like in global communication for business, they don't go to another country to talk about their business matters, but they use mediums such as video conference call in order to discuss their proposition. And during that presentation, there's always some complication. Like for example, there's a crucial piece of visual information that you could easily miss on a video, particularly when the executive may be off camera at that moment. There are many other pieces of important information that get lost when you are interacting with someone across the globe. When doing business locally, it is usually quite easy to discern between a company located in business district whose ads you have noticed on billboards and local radio for a number of years, compared to the business located in apartment buildings on the outskirts of town. On the other hand, when you are approached by a company located in a different country, you may not have much time to go beyond what they state on their website. Finding out more about foreign firms usually requires much more time and research. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lovely Deolian of BSD Science 1B, one of the members of Group 3. Benefits of global communication. Despite the risk of operating a business on a global level has many benefits that far outweigh those risks. Not only those doing business on global level open up new markets for selling products and services. It can give you access to resources and talent that may not be available locally. While every business is different, it's worthwhile to note that Coca-Cola didn't stop selling their products worldwide because of few translation problems. As the world has continued to become more tightly connected and communication technologies have continued to evolve, that benefits as whole can be illustrated by the market's penetrations of these new technologies themselves. The more globally connected the world has become, the faster people have adopted new global communication technologies. The telephone, which was the greatest global communication technologies of its time, replacing the telegraph, took 71 years to reach a market penetration of 50% of homes. Electricity took 52 years to reach the same penetration. Radios followed, taking 28 years. Color television took 18 years. Personal computer took only 19 years. Cell phone took 14 years, while internet access took only 10 years to reach 50% of all homes in US. Because a growing number of companies are already competing on global level, any business that wants to compete with the must also open its channels to communicate effectively with the entire world. Benefits of global communication or advantages of global communication. The rise of electronic communications such as instant messaging and email has led to an increase of global communication. This increase of global communication has had a profound impact on society. In fact, society has become more global as electronic communication has eliminated distance as a barrier to communication. The benefits of global societies include making the world a smaller place, increasing business opportunities, and improving cultural education. Makes the world a smaller place. The world being a small place has become more evident with the rise of global communication. Family members separated by distance can stay connected with each other through electronic communication. Computer-mediated communication, like social networking websites, even allow for long-distance communication without having to dread receiving an expensive long-distance phone bill. Electronic communication helps to make the world a smaller place by making new stories more accessible as well. by increasing the amount of international news people have access to. Increased business opportunities. For business, an increase in global communication means new business opportunities. Effective international business communication requires an understanding of other cultures. For example, according to MindTools, an online resources for learning business skills in Eastern countries, establishing relationships play an important role in business transactions. Therefore, by developing personal relationships with Eastern business people using electronic communication, you increase your chances of enjoying success business transactions. Improves cultural educations. The increase of global communication has led to new tools for educating children about different cultures. For instance, children can learn about the other cultures directly from kids who live in other countries through international pen pals programs. Also, teachers can use technologies to allow to teach children with online communications. Also, political leaders and cultural experts to educate students on the difference and traditions of other cultures. Why cross-culture is important in globalization, business opportunities, job opportunities, sharing of views and ideas, talent and improvisation, and understanding of diverse market. Cross-culture communication involves conversing, negotiating, and exchanging information, either verbally or non-verbally, with people who are different cultures. People from different backgrounds communicate in different ways, follow various societal norms that may be unfamiliar to someone who is not of that culture. Cross-culture communication has become strategically important to companies due to the growth of global business, technologies, and internets. Understanding cross-culture communication is important for any company that has diverse workforce or plans on conducting global business. This type of communication involves an understanding of how people from different cultures speak, communicate, and perceive the world around them. In globalization, as society becomes more globally connected, the ability to communicate across the culture boundaries has gained increased prominence. Global business must understand how to communicate with employees and customers from different cultures in order to fulfill the organization's mission and build value for stakeholders. Global communication is directly affected by the process of globalization and helps to increase business opportunities, improve culture barriers, and develop a global village. Both globalization and global communication have changed the environmental, culture, political, and economic elements of the world. In business opportunities, in order to successfully communicate with people from different cultures and business, it's important to proactively learn how to deal with cross-culture differences. The best way to communicate is to build trust with your business partners. You can do this by researching the cross-culture communication differences, being aware of them prior to your meetings. This proactive approach shows your partner that you are invested in success of your work together. Similarly, it's important to know the do and don'ts of your interaction. Being well prepared will lead business to success during cross-culture communication. Understanding the nuances of prior to conversation can help the business succeed when dealing with other cultures. Investing the right tools and assistance can also go a long way. Some business work with foreign language consultants who help to bridge the divide between cross-culture communication. Others hire people in the communication field, such as marketing copywriters, in the country they are doing business to ensure that their market message is communicated authentically the way a local would speak. In job opportunities, cross-cultural communication has become more strategically important to companies due to the growth of global business. Just like what I said earlier. So in a simple way, when a lot of business opportunities, it will be a lot of job opportunities also. In business opportunities will be successful, there are more employing people in their company, so that a lot of job opportunity happens. Cross-cultural communication barriers. First, cultural relativism compares the values and behaviors of different cultures and usually means judging them against standards of right or wrong from your own culture. Second, ethnocentrism is the inherent belief that your own culture, traditions, and values are correct and superior. Third, lack of knowledge and understanding of other cultures. Every culture has different set of values and business ethics, accepted behavior and decorum, even different facial expressions and gestures. It is important to understand these differences to show genuine respect for other cultures' norms when communicating with professionals from other cultures. For example, in the United States, it is common for the speaker to share personal anecdotes to build audience report. But in other countries, this is considered tiresome. Humor can be especially tricky to employ. Better to be straightforward rather than run the risk that your joke may be inadvertently embarrass or insult the listener. Fourth, discriminatory behaviors including harassment. Fifth, language differences. A common cross-cultural barriers in business communication is of course language. Although English is regarded as the common international language of business, not every business globally uses English on regular basis. Employees may have more difficulty when communicating in English. We can lead to misunderstandings when taking directions, understanding level of urgency, and communicating issues or concerns. And that's all. I hope you understand my presentation. And sorry for my bad pronunciation. And please listen to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hello everyone. For the continuation, I am your next presenter. My name is Fatima F. Ditablan. To communicate, we have do and don't. In do, we talk about person's job or work-related matters. Also, we talk about sports, movie, books, and hobbies. While in don't, we don't discuss religion, politics, or other controversial subjects. And we don't ask women if they are married. Next, we don't tell ethnic or religious jokes. Next is local community group. What is a local community group? A local community group is a group of interacting people sharing an environment. In human communities, intent, belief, resources, preferences, needs, risks, and number of other conditions may be present and common, affecting the identity of the participants and the degree of cohesiveness. Therefore, this is a classification of different interacting segments. Topic is very dependent to a particular desire or situation. Let's discuss communal identity. What is a communal identity? It is defining who we are, includes what and how we should behave in a particular situation. Individual, relational, and communal identity. In Individual identity refers to the individual's interpretation of his or her cultural identity, which is based on his or her own experiences. When we say communal identity, it is the identity shared by different individuals in a group regardless of how diverse the group was. It will be labeled as a whole, which will become the identity shared later on with the advent of technology and with the help of different platforms pertaining for both communication and diversity. So let's proceed to gestures in different countries. First gesture is perfect. Commonly known, everything is alright or perfect. But in France, it means worthless. In Japan, money. In Germany, it is rude. In Malta, Greece, Brazil, it is obscene. Next, hand gestures is thumbs up. Commonly, it means all okay. But in Australia, Iran, it is rude. In Nigeria, very offensive. In Japan, 5. In Turkey, political party. Next is stop. Commonly, stop enough. But in Turkey, you got nothing from me. In Western Africa, you have 5 fathers. The last hand gesture is the fig. In Turkey, Greece, Tunisia, Holland, it means obscene. In Russia, you get nothing from me. In Yugoslavia, it means you can't have it. In Brazil, it means good luck. So now, let's discuss developing cross-cultural communication skills. So first is slow down. It means we should always take time and don't rush. Second is separate questions, and third is avoid negative questions. This means that we should classify questions based on mutual perspective and filter sensitive topics. 4. Take turns. It means to allow each other to communicate to one another. Always allot time for fair take turns. 5. Write it down. We should jot down all learnings for future use or application. 6. Be supportive. It means we should understand, listen, respect, and support whenever a person will share. 7. Check meanings. It comprehends everything. Don't jump into conclusion. 8. Avoid slang. We should keep it simple to be understood. 9. Watch the humor. Always appreciate and respect the humor of others. Lastly, maintain etiquette. Compose yourself to be regal. Let's proceed to multicultural communication guidelines. We have 3 guidelines. First is understand your own culture. Awareness of your own culture is important because it can keep us from projecting our values onto others. Second is keep an open mind and respect diversity. Lastly is identify and adapt to language differences. I hope you understand my presentation, guys, and please listen to our next presenter. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Rancity Blas, and for my report is about the benefits of having multicultural team. Growing from local to global is actually a very familiar topic to Barona as well. We are currently expanding our business heavily in other Nordic countries, and we know that the route is very long and even somewhat painful. We have learned a lot during the journey, and it has helped us to widen our perspectives on a personal and a company level. All the panelists praised the value of multicultural and diverse teams too. Here are a few advantages of multicultural team that we came up with. First, diversity creates innovation. When your team is developing new products or service or creating new business models, different views and perspectives are required. The best innovation are born when people of different views and background, whether it is cultural or functional, came up together to brainstorm ideas. Different views challenge each other in positive ways and help others to understand and see things they couldn't see without the help of others. So, when different kinds of people met with different race or culture, they proposed different kinds of ideas and opinion. Therefore, they have to come up with the best possible options in order to attain the best innovation that require the demand of the people in the business. Second, global mindset helps you prepare for the future. Due to the digitalization, the market and competitive fields have changed a lot. Before, you competed with a smaller group or known competitors. But today, new challengers emerge every day. They can be startup or new service created by big traditional companies. The competition can easily come from abroad because entering new countries is easier than before. Having a global mindset help you stay aware of the competition and also help you understand and predict trends that are affecting your market. So, if you are aware of the culture and innovation happening in different countries, it means you're aware and understand the competition happening in the field of a certain business. It means you are one step ahead, or you can predict trends that may affect your future market. Third, entering a new market requires local customers' insight. Customer insight is a vital part of service design process, and it is extremely important when you are entering a new market. Even though countries are close together, there can be a huge cultural differences. For example, people often see the Nordic countries as one and the same, but we have many cultural differences in additional to the language, such as ways of working, humor, and manners, customers' behavior, and the brands that we are used to. So, people around you has a great role when it comes up to introducing a new market. Their opinions and insights are very important because they are those who use the product. Fourth, different cultures broaden your perspectives. The best thing about working in a multicultural team on a personal level is that it always widens your perspectives. You learn to understand the difference between cultures such as values, manners, body language, and leadership methods. These are actually very important to study and understand because these usually cause the biggest cultural clashes and misunderstandings. If you are leading a multicultural team, you probably need to use a bit different leadership style for different members. So, as diversity creates innovations, thus needs a team leader that motivates each member in order to create a productive result. So the result depends on how wide the perspectives of a leader. Leaders understanding the different cultures of each member. Lastly, multicultural environment encourage to be yourself. One surprising benefit that was brought up by our host Emma Kushnin was that when you are abroad or in a multicultural team, you might feel more open to be your true self. You're not concerned about how other people think about you, and you might not be afraid of conflicts. This is really interesting and something I've always noticed. So, working in a multicultural team or global environment is actually a really good way for you to develop yourself. So, if you are with different people of different cultures, you can show your true self without so much worries on how to please them. But at the same time, by understanding their own cultures and behaviors, you can improve yourself by benefiting from it. That's all for my report.